Okay, so in the last session, actually, we discussed about all the different areas in the Workday Studio. But unfortunately, in yesterday, because of some update issue, so the studio is not actually open correctly. Means everywhere it is showing an error. So there is a small update that came to the studio. Uh, that is also yesterday I found that. And instead of JDK 11, we need to install the JDK 17. Okay, so the people who are installed the studio just uninstalled it, and I will send you this JDK setup. So install that JDK 17 and give the path of instead of Zulu 11, you need to select the Zulu 17. Okay, and rest everything is same. Yeah, like that actually you can reinstall the Studio integration. I mean Studio software. Okay, so after successfully installed, and these are all the different areas that Studio has. So in the Project Explorer, we create the Studio integration, and in the Cloud Explorer, we'll make the connection to the tenant and outline, which gives the integration complete outline here. Okay, I will show you. And this is the workspace where we actually develop and writing the code area. And this is the property area where we can see all the different properties, problems, and also the process monitors everything. And schema explorer. So this is also one of the important area where we can develop our web service request. Okay, so here you can see the W icon. If you click on this arrow, so it is asking for add Workday web service. If you click here, so it is actually asking to select the integration, I mean web service category. Suppose if you like to work on any payroll data, like if you want to load any payroll kind of data, you can select the payroll category. Okay, and after that you should select the appropriate web service from the this payroll category section. Okay, so we will discuss in detail while we creating the inbound integration, how to create this web service and how to find out everything. Okay, and this process details is contains all the integration process details like what is the ID, description, response message, and initiated by completed, everything, process status, job status like that. And clipboard history also is having the some integration related history. Okay, we'll see what it is happen while after we creating integration. Okay, let's start with one uh, outbound integration. Okay, so there is a requirement to send the data of only part-time employees to the some specific vendor. So that is also the requirement is coming based on a only XML file, not any transformation. We'll see the transformation later. So only the XML file. So how to create that integration? First, we need to create one report because it is outbound. So we should have the report. Horizontal task create custom report and the name CRINT Studio demographic report. Okay, so report type should be advanced, and here I'm checking the box enable as web service because I want to call this report into the studio, and here I'm selecting all active and terminated workers. Click on OK. Okay, so I'm selecting the field company and worker, employee ID, some hire date, and location. Okay, so and add supervisory organization, cost center. Okay, this is my report, and I just want this report only for the part-time employees. So I am going to add the filter condition time type as a part-time employees. Okay, let's run and see the report. Total I have 509 records. Okay, I am getting the all values. Right. So now let's start creating integration. Okay, so before starting, I'm just removing this outline. I will show you later. Clipboard history and schema explorer and process details. Okay, so how to connect to the tenant? Because uh, while we are creating any integration in Studio, so we should connect to the tenant, and after creating the integration, we should deploy that into the tenant. So here we have the sandbox tenant. Okay, so here I have the sandbox. Okay, click on here. If you right click, we have the connection details. And otherwise, if you click on this icon, so directly navigate to the connection page. Okay, so anything would be fine. Anything would be fine. So see, so here this sandbox and production are in a disable mode. So once it connected, okay, it will come into the active mode. Okay, I will show that. So like this, the page is coming. So you need to select the sandbox. Make sure that this checkbox is marked with the right mark. Okay, as a sandbox default. And in the connection, the name should be sandbox. And this is an URL. Okay, so this is an URL. So actually, this is a server URL where the studio program is actually connected with the tenant. So this sandbox tenant server, sandbox tenant server. So if you click on this arrow button, you will get all the different tenants server details like URLs. For production, we have the different regions. Okay, for implementation, we have the different. For sandbox, we have the different regions. Sandbox preview as well. So these regions are actually located based on their customer location. Okay, but based on their customer location. So this WD2, WD3 is not same for all the customers, the people who are using the Workday. Okay, so it is not same for all. So based on their region, actually it is changed. So some people is only having the WD5. Okay, some people only have WD10 like that. So based on that, it is actually located. No problem, they will tell you. So which one you need to connect like that. So otherwise, mostly WD2. So we are actually working for the US peoples. So mostly 90% it should be WD2. Otherwise, you need to select other one and you need to you need to click on the test connections and you need to test the connections. So so in which actually region actually it is it is there, it is there in that region, this that particular tenant. So it will connect it automatically so that you can ensure that. So this tenant region is WD2 WD3 like that. ఓకే, ఒకవేళ వాళ్ళు చెప్పకపోతే సో మీరే సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకొని ఇక్కడ టెస్ట్ కనెక్షన్ చేసుకుంటే సో ఎక్కడైతే కనెక్ట్ అవుతుందో అదే మీ టెస్ట్ రీజియన్ అన్నమాట. సో అట్లా మీరు ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. దట్ ఈస్ ద వే. Suppose if you have no idea about all these test regions. Okay, fine. So after this, I have the tenant name. So without this tenant name, it is not able to connect. So where the tenant name is located, this one. Okay, after the sandbox, that is the tenant name. So username. Okay, here actually log in with your standard credentials. Okay, as we provided like username and password, right? So you can connect with that username and password. Okay, so once you enter the username and password, click on the test connection. So whenever you can see this connection tested successfully, then only you connected successfully. So don't click on apply and close one or more time. You need to first check with the test connection only. Suppose if you click on apply and close with the invalid credentials, the account get locked. Okay, so don't click on apply and close if you not tested your connection. So first you tested a connection, then only you can you should click on apply and close. So without test connection, don't click on apply and close. The account will get locked and it will be a problematic. Okay, so remember this one. And also in the security perspective, to connect with the studio, you should have the security group access as the business process administrator security group and HR administrator security group. Okay, so you should have the business process security group and HR administrator security group. Without that security group, it will throw an error saying that you should have the access at least one security group. It is saying like that. At least one security group like business process administrator or HR administrator like that. Make sure that before you go into connect with the tenant actually by using Studio. Okay, so here I tested the connection, so it is successfully connected. Okay, then I click on apply and close. See, so it is populated with the gold icon. Suppose if you open this, so all the integrations are populated here, visible here. Okay, so I created the report and I successfully connected to the tenant. Now let's start creating the integration. So go to File tab, New, and Workday Assembly Project. Okay, and the project name INT my first projects. So you can give any name, whatever you want. That's not a problem. Okay, and click on next and click on finish. So this is the way actually we can create the integration. See, earlier we don't have this palette. Now we have the palette files. We have the palette and other files. So these are all the different files, dependency files to run the integration or to deploy the integration into the tenant. Okay, so for that actually, these are all the different kinds of dependency files to create and run the integration in the studio as well as in the tenant. So ఇవన్నీ different kinds of dependency files అంటాం because the studio is actually running on the IDE integrated development environment. It is an Eclipse based environment. So the studio is running based on a Java based files. Okay, Java based compilers, and if you can see any Java developer, they would also having the same kind of thing, but they called it as a studio visualization. But here we call it as a studio. They call it studio visualization. So they are also having the same kind of area, and instead of configuring components, they are writing the code. That's only the difference. Okay, to run or to drag or to create all integration code, these dependency files are needed. So they are coming automatically. Okay, fine. So I created the integration. Now I need to configure my integration with all the component based on my requirement. Okay, so every integration, see in palette we have the different items like favorite and annotations, swim modular module library, in transport, out transport, okay, and component, common components like that, workspace components, error handlers, transforms, login components, message manipulation, validation, and everything. On a requirement, actually, we can use all these kinds of components. Okay, so first we need to use the workday in component. Okay, just drag this workday in and place it here. That's it. Just drag it and place it here. Okay, so this is the very starting part of the integration. Without this workday in component, you cannot create any integration. So this is a mandatory. For example, in this workspace, if you use four workday ins, okay, and you deployed this into the tenant, you will get the four different integration names. Okay, you will get the four different integration names. So here you have the one interview question. The interview may ask, can I use more than one workday in component or start here? The answer is no. So we should use only one workday in component for one integration. So here I am going to use the only one workday in component. Okay. So I have used the workday in component. Let's see the properties of this component. So we have the four tabs here: common, advanced, launch parameters, and service. So in common, So it is having the start here 0. So if you want to change the name, you can change integration start here. Okay, integration start here. Like that you can give. And advanced, click on here and advanced tab. So here it is having the integration name. Okay, and in the launch parameters, so we have the three different kinds of launch parameters. One is the simple type, another one is the reference type, and third one is the enumeration type. So we are using only the either simple type or reference type. I will explain about this part while we adding the launch parameters to the integration. Okay, and services. So here we have the different kinds of services. Based on a requirement, we use the services. One is attribute and map services, and another one is delivery, listener services, retrieval services, sequence generator, transaction log, and report service, custom object service, data initialization service, and service reference. So mostly we are using integrations, attributes, and map service. Like we did the mapping in a core connector, right? In the same way, but here we but here it is a little different than the core connector. And after that, delivery service for delivering the file, and also listener service for messages, and retrieval service for to retrieve the file from the external location. Normally we use this service for inbound integrations. So this service is mandatory for inbound integration, and this is the sequence generator service we have already seen in a document transformation and outbound integration of EIB. And this one is transaction log service. So it is also it is giving some kind of transaction log details, and the report service. So this service is, we should enable this service when we are using the report into the our studio integration, or when we are calling the report, we should enable this service. And custom object service is for custom object, to call the custom object fields and to enter or to load the details into the custom object fields. And this is the data initialization service. So this data initialization service is actually work as a, you know same like as is CCW DIS. So here also, but here this is a different configuration. There actually we just enable that checkbox, but here there is a some other configuration is there. Okay, generally we use this data initialization service for, okay, calling the report and all. Okay, and create service reference. So this is for creating the custom services. So out of all this service, we should only mostly use attribute service, retrieval service, and report service. Okay, these are all the main three service actually we are using. Okay, fine. So now we are going to call the report, but I'm not enabling the report service directly here. So I'm enabling that reports are called the report by using the Workday outrest component. Okay, let's see how to do that. Okay, so I have I take this Workday in component, and next I'm going to create one subassembly. This subassembly is for where processing all the report records, and also where the report record can be stored. So for that, I'm going to create one subassembly. So to create a subassembly, we need the components called local in and local out. Okay, local in and local out. So first, use the local out, which is located in out transport. like this. And if you click on here, it is having the different properties like routes response to execute one endpoint, advanced, other parameters. So right now I'm not configuring any of these options here. Okay, I'm just uh, giving the name as call report process. That's it. Okay, so this is a one component and this is a one component. So generally in Studio, the information is passed like in the form of a message. Okay, the information is passed in the form of a message. Okay, so this is a root part. Actually, the message is starting here. From here, the message is starting from all other components based on the connection that is having. సో దీనికున్న కనెక్షన్ ప్రకారం మెసేజ్ అనేది ఒక కాంపోనెంట్ నుంచి వేరే కాంపోనెంట్కి పాస్ అవుతూ ఉంటుంది. సో ఇన్ స్టూడియోలో మనకి ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ అనేది మెసేజ్ రూపంలో పాస్ అవుతుంది ఒక కాంపోనెంట్ నుంచి ఒక కాంపోనెంట్కి. సో హౌ టు మేక్ దట్ కనెక్షన్స్? సో వితౌట్ మేకింగ్ ద కనెక్షన్, so it is not passing the information, I mean message. So if there is no message, so this integration is not written expected results. So it returning some errors kind of things. So how to make the connections? If you click on here, okay, so we have the two arrow marks. One is a blue arrow mark and another one is some kind of like yellow or orange. Okay, so take the blue arrow and drag it to the call report process and add it. Otherwise, if you want to delete, just click on and delete. Otherwise, go to the call report process or go to the integration start here, common tab, rouse to call report process. So directly it is making the connection. Okay, routes to. సో ఏ కాంపోనెంట్కి అయితే సెండ్ చేయాలనుకున్నామో ఓకే దానికి ముందు కాంపోనెంట్ దగ్గర కామన్స్లో రౌట్స్ టూలో మనం ఆ పర్టికులర్ తర్వాత కాంపోనెంట్ సెలెక్ట్ చేయాలి. సో విచ్ ఎవర్ కాంపోనెంట్ దట్ యూ వాంట్ టు మేక్ ద కనెక్షన్, ఫస్ట్ you need to open the properties of that particular start component, and from there you should select the routes to the target component. You should select the select the component to the target component. So like that we add. So as a part of creating subassembly, I have added the local out. Okay, this is my local out, and one more component we need to add local in. Okay, this is the local in which is available on the in transports. So here I am giving the name in common ID. I am giving the name report process. Okay, report process. So now we need to make the connection between these two, call report process and reports process. But here we are not actually doing like this. So go to the call report process and click on the report. So not like this. So because for sub assembly actually we have the separate process. Okay, for sub assembly we have a separate process. If you just click on save, so these two are save buttons. If you click on save all, you will get an error like this. Okay, so in the problems that error will populate. Errors, endpoint for out transport call report process must be specified. Okay, so end transport. So that's why I'm click on here and properties. Okay, here is the endpoint. in common tab endpoint and click on this arrow icon. So here is my integration and select the report process. This arrow mark. Select the report process and click on next and click on finish. Now if you save this one again, error gone. And after that, if you want to test the connection, whether it is this component is having the connection with this component, you have the way to do it. So right click on call report process, declaration in workspace, declaration in workspace. If you click here, okay, it will populate like this. So like this way, we can ensure that these two are having the connection. So this component is connected with this component, and this component is connected with this component, right? Okay, fine. So now I have created one subassembly. So this is the subassembly, report process is the subassembly. So here I am going to call my report. So how do I call my report? So by using the Workday out rest component, if you drag this one and place it here, by using the Workday out rest component, we can call the report. Okay, same thing. To make the connection between report process and Workday out rest, click on the report process and routes to Workday out rest. Connection established. Okay, after connection, establishing the connection, and click on the Workday Outrest component in the Common tab. In the Common tab, click on the R button. So this is for report calling, and this is for custom object calling. Okay, let's talk about only the report. Okay, so if you move the mouse pointer here, so it is saying that select a RAS report. RAS report in the sense report as a service. This is our RAS report. So once you enable this report as enable as once you select the box enable as web service, this report is become as a RAS report. Okay, so copy this name and go to the studio and click on the R button. So now we are in the sandbox. Okay, that is fine. Web service enabled. Okay, if you give the report name here and click on next, automatically the report selected. Okay, click on next. So it is asking for alias name. Okay, so give any name without a space. Okay, without a space. If you give the space, it will give an error. For example, alias name contains invalid characters. Like that, it will give an error. So either you need to put the underscore or without space, you need to give the report alias name. Okay, click on finish. Okay, before creating this one, so in integration start here. Here I am not defining any report service or not. So once I define the report here in the Workday outrest, okay, so automatically the service is enabled and all the details are coming here. Okay, let's see that. Click on R button. Okay, report name. Demographic report. Okay, finish. Like this, automatically it is coming report. Now, if you click on integration start here, see the report name is coming here. I mean integration name RS, and this is the alias name that I have given there, and this is the report name and the reference also. like this. So like this actually it is come. So we can also enable this report from here. Okay, by by giving some name. Okay, by giving some name called like whatever it is named, like first report. Okay, if you click on OK, so in this case you need to select this plus icon and you need to select the report from this arrow mark and you need to give the same details what we just given. So both are same and also you need to give the alias name here. So when we use this concept in a sense, we can call the report in two ways. Okay, I'm going to delete this one. We can call the report in two ways. One process is like this. This is the standard process. So another process is we can call the report from here and we can create one evaluate expression, eval expression, and that expression, that property we can directly give like this. Okay, but it is not coming like this. So I will show you. I will show you while we adding the launch parameters to the integration. I will show you the other way. So this is the standard way. Okay, fine. So once you call the report, that is fine, and you need to verify whether the report is extracting the details or not. So how do you ensure? To ensure that we need one log component. Okay, so we need one async mediation. Okay, async mediation in the components. Take one async mediation. Okay, and add one log component. Suppose if you click on here in the box, the square box, if you click on here and mediation component, all mediation components are populated, and in that you need to select the this icon, create log. Okay, create log, and in this here we have the message content. So this message contents is actually capturing all the message which is coming from the this workday outrest component, all the messages, whatever the messages, anything. Okay, so by default it is having the message content. So we need to add one title because we need to identify this one in the server log. So we need to add one title. So click on this line separator. Okay, move that to up and click on this text and move that to up. Okay, in the text I'm adding one stars with check report XML. Okay, so this is the title I have back. So I need to make the connection. Click on the workday outrest. Oh, it is asking for save. Okay, click on the workday outrest on routes response to async mediation. This is the name, async mediation. Okay, fine. Okay, now we successfully added the log component, and then we need to add the splitter component. What is the splitter component? The splitter component is actually split the records. So we have the 500 records here. Instead of loading all the records at a time, it is splitting each record one after another, and it will process the data. The main advantage of this using splitter is to improve the integration performance. To improve the integration performance. So for that reason, I am going to add in the common component splitter. Drag it. Okay, this is the splitter which is having the subroute, and the splitter is having some strategies. So based on the strategies, actually it is working. So we have the different strategies like custom splitter, standard splitter, and export splitter. XML stream splitter, JSON splitter, and unzip splitter, mtable splitter, and subroute. So out of all these strategies, 95% or 90% we used only the XML stream splitter because it is having the streaming functionality. So it gives the most uh, performance actually to process the records. And other strategies we are also used JSON splitter when we receiving any JSON file from the external location, and also we sometimes we use the unzip splitter. Let's say for example, if you have the requirement to load the worker photos into the tenant, so usually they send the worker photos from the external file in the zip file. So in those situations, you need to use the unzip splitter to unzip all the photos in that particular file. Okay, and this mtable splitter, this is for some table purpose actually we are using, but 98% you never got this requirement to use the mtable splitter. We should only have the XML stream splitter, and very in the based on very rare requirement, you will have the JSON splitter and unzip splitter. That's it. Apart from this, you are not configure anything here. Okay, so in the XML splitter, if you see namespace, XPath, okay, namespace, XPath, and XPath version. So XPath is mandatory. XPath in the sense you already see the report data in EIB outbound, how the report data coming into the XML, okay, in a form of report data and report entry. So we need to give the same thing here, report data slash report entry. So based on that, it is actually splitting all the records based on the report data, report entry, XPath. It is splitting and it is understanding that. So uh, this integration should process first this first record, okay, and second record like that up to report entry like that. So based on XPath, it will process one record after another. So to process these records, it should identify the report first. Like XSLT, here also we need to specify the namespace. Okay, for reports we have the WD and namespace of the report. WD space namespace of the report. How do you identify? How do you know the namespace? Edit the report. Go to the advanced tab. This is the namespace. Copy the entire thing. Okay, and paste it here. It should have the space after the WD. So since we are working on a report, that's why in the namespace I given as a WD. Suppose if you work on any core connector, instead of WD I will give the WS. Okay, in the XPath, then the XPath should be WS worker sync slash WS worker like that. Okay, so now I have defined the namespace and XPath successfully. I am going to make the connection from async mediation to splitter. Click on the async mediation and routes to splitter. Okay. Okay. Now I just want to check whether the report records are splitting correctly or not. How to do that? Okay, how to do that? Same process. We need to add one more log file like this. To add the log file, we cannot add the log file directly in this area. We should use the log file inside the async mediation only, always. Inside the async mediation only. That's why we call it as a mediation components. Okay, add one more async mediation here and click on this square box and select the log again. Okay, so keep the message content and add the title. Okay, and add the title. Line splitter, line separator, and click on text. Move up to the text. Check split records. Okay, you can add the line separator after the text as well. Same thing after text like this. You can add the line separator. So if you add the line separator, so it will be easy to identify in the more easy to identify in the server log. Okay, so now I need to make the connection from splitter to async mediation. See, here in the upper we have the connections and below also we have the connections. So always you need to give the below connection to the other next component only, not from the top. In splitter component, not from the top, we should give the connection from subrow to other components. So click on the subrow and routes to async mediation 0 like this. So now if you want to add any properties in the sense, if you want to store all these details like company, worker, employee ID, hire date, location, so we can create some eval properties. Okay, let's see how to create those properties. So I'm going to add another eval condition. Okay, create eval. Okay, in the expression tab. Because why we need this eval components? Properties. Let's say after few weeks, you would have the one request like, so based on a location, this integration return one output file based on a location. So in that time you need to add one condition. So for condition, to add a condition, so in Studio we always do that with the properties only. So for that reason, we need to add we need to create some eval properties to extract the report values. Like what we did in XSLT. Let's say if I open this, let's open the report. Okay, so what we did in the XSLT, call a value. First we find this XPath as a for each select, and then we call it as this XPath to bring the exact company value from the XML file. In the same manner, we are also doing the same thing here, but here it is just little difference. Okay, the eval condition should be props of first company equal to parts of 0. So parts of 0 means, so in the Studio, so I told you, right, so every information is passed in the form of a message. Okay, and that too in a root parts. So from here to here, from integration start here to call report process and report process to Workday outrest and like this. So it is formed in the form of a, it is passed the data in the form of a messages as a root pods. So that's why to identify where that message is extracting, we need to specify the parts of zero. Okay, we need to specify the parts of zero dot x path because we are actually extracting the value from x path only. So that's why we are writing the x path. Okay, and after this, so we need to keep the brackets. Where is that x path? What is the x path? Okay, we need to write that x path in a single quotation like WD report entry. Okay, WD is the report here. WD report entry slash and where the company is located, company descriptor. Same way, what we did in the XSLT, right? Just copy the same thing here, WD descriptor, okay, and paste it here. So here we specify the X path, and the next point is we need to specify the namespace as well. So for splitter namespace is different and this namespace is different. So we need to define the namespaces individually because this namespace is working for splitter and the same thing also we need to give the here. Same thing. Okay, copy the WD, okay, copy the namespace and keep inside the double quotations. Okay, like this, we need to create the eval conditions. Okay, so we'll talk more about this eval conditions tomorrow. Okay, and let's add one a store component and we'll see how all these records are stored. Okay, I will explain in detail about these properties tomorrow. Okay, so I am going to add now. I am going to add the store component because this store component is to store the file. Actually, to store the file. So your integration without this store component, actually, we are not creating any output files. So to create any file out of your integration, store component is mandatory. So store component is also one of the mediation component. Okay, so I'm selecting the store component here. I have dragged the store component. So if you click on here in the common tab, we have the title. Okay, in the title we need to give the testfile.xml. So because right now the report format is XML, so that's why I'm giving the file type as XML. Suppose if you use any XSLT transformation and you need to specify that XSLT before the store component and after that only you give the file name with that particular extension like CSV or text file. So that's it. So I'm going to save this integration and I'm going to deploy. Okay, so my integration is successfully saved. I am going to deploy the integration. So how to deploy? Again, we have the two ways. One is we can deploy from here with this icon, and if not, if you right click on the int my first project, you will get the deploy to Workday. The deploy to Workday. So any option would be fine. Suppose if you click on here, it will give the same page. Suppose if you click on deploy to Workday, it will give the same page. Okay, so better to use this icon. Okay, so in the deploy environment, you have the sandbox tenant. You should select that. Okay, and another most important thing, check this box. Include source code in deployed class. So I have told you already, we have the file type called class. Okay, so the whole integration code is available stored in the form of a clar file. I told you, and actually we discussed about this one in the last session. So to create a clar file or to store a clar file, whenever you change the integration and whenever you deploying the integration into the tenant, you should check the include source code in deployed clar. If you not check this box, the clar file will not create and you are not able to take the backup of your integration. You are not able to take the backup of your integration. So for that reason, this is very important. Include source code in a deployed class. Okay. Once you select this sandbox tenant or san or any other implementation, we have the different kinds of tenants if you configure. Okay. So once you click on here, then only this is available to select. Then only this is available to check. Otherwise, it won't available. It will show you in a disable mode only. Okay, first you need to select this one and then click on this box. Okay, then click on next and finish. Click on I agree. So here it is. Yeah. So when you see in the right mark, the code is deployed and also there are some changes happened in the this area also. Earlier this is not there. See the time is 8:02. So in the with date and username, this will contain all the details when this integration was deployed, at what time, what date, and who is the user. I mean, who is the implementer or developer that deployed this integration in the studio. I mean, tenant. All the details we have here. Okay, if you expand this, so we have this. So this is the report name, and this is the integration name. Okay, this is report service name. This is the integration name. Okay, fine. Now let's go to the tenant and open the integration. It is the integration int my first project. Okay, int my first project. See, without selecting the checkbox, this cloud connection is not available. So we are selecting the checkbox, so that's why we are having the clar file here. Okay, I am going to launch the integration. Related actions, integration, launch or schedule. Click on OK. Click on refresh until it's get completed. See, so it is actually having the output files like this, testfile.xml. Okay, so testfile.xml, this is our file name. So along with this file name, actually all records are stored. Okay, all records are stored in the form of a test file document. So why it is having too many documents, I mean too many files means, so here the splitter is splitting all the records. How many records we have? 509. So now this integration is going to give all the 509 records here. Okay, for each worker it is creating 115. Suppose if you select and open this file, you have the one worker details only. You have the one worker details only. Like that, whenever it is reached to 509, it will get completed. See, 509 is completed. All the 509 records are coming in the output files tab. Okay. So to send the file to the vendor, this is not a correct way. Okay. So this is not a correct way. Then how to make and how to combine all these 509 records into a a single output file? So we have the another component. Okay, we have the another component, that is aggregator, which is aggregating the which is aggregating all 509 records in a single output file. So for this we need to add one aggregator. Okay, aggregator can aggregate all these 509 records into the single record. Okay, so it is available under the components. It is also having this different kinds of strategies like custom batch strategy, size batch strategy, time batch strategy, custom collateral, message content collateral, XML message content collateral, and JSON collateral, zip file collateral, and mtable collateral, like this. Okay, like this, it is actually having the different strategies. So we are using only the size batch strategy and time batch strategy. And coming to the content collateral, means adding the messages, adding the records, okay, aggregating the records perspective. We use the this one XML content collateral. For JSON files, for JSON records, we use the JSON collateral. And the zip file collateral, if you want to make any file in a zip format, because if the file is really big to deliver, if the file is really big to deliver, so in those situations, we use the zip file collateral. So these three and these two, size batch and time batch, we use these five strategies as a part of our integration design, in every integration design. So after these five, we can use rarely this message content collateral. So this message content collateral uh, is normally we use for inbound integrations to, aggregating all the CSV records. CSV records, in the sense we have some details. We will discuss about this in inbound integration. Okay, like that we have the different strategies. So in the same way, I am using the size batch strategy, because what is the main use of this size batch strategy? Suppose your file is having some 50,000, 60,000 of data. So if you want to aggregate all the records at a time, actually integration actually takes some time, and sometimes it is having the job failure error. Okay, job failed error, because of it is not able to run. In that situation, we can give the size. Let's say, for example, for 3,000 record, it should generate one file. For another 3,000 records, it should generate one more file, like that. We can split all the 50,000 records into the 50,000 records into the different files. Like for 3,000 records, one file. For 3,000 records, another file, and next 3,000 records for another file. Like that, we have the multiple files, so that we can split out and we can run our integration. So for that purpose, we're using the size bar strategy. But in our case, I'm giving the -1 because we have the only 509 records. If you give the -1, it will aggregate all the records, all the records. So how many records you have in that is generated by report? So it is aggregating all the records. Okay, and after that we need to add this XML content collateral because this is for extracting the record, and this XML content collateral is for okay all the aggregate all the XML records, I mean report records into the single XML file. So here we need to specify the header like root slash root like this. Okay, like this. And after this, we need to give the XPath as well, like this. We need to give the XPath so that it can identify. I mean, so suppose if there are any namespace conflicts, sometimes we have the namespace conflicts. Okay, so if there is any namespace conflicts, so this XPath is actually remove all the namespaces, and it is help to aggregate all the report records. Okay, for this we need to specify a few more actually eval properties. Okay, eval properties. So we need to move the store component after the aggregator because after the aggregation only we need to see the output file. So that's why just drag this store component to another async mediation. Add another async mediation and drag this store component to other async mediation. Okay, here I am going to add one more eval property. I mean eval expressions that is for to run the to run or to collate or all the records in within the aggregator. So these are the standard ones. Okay, we can write as a props of collate equal to true. This is the one mandatory expression, and another one is props of batch. Okay, so in this batch we need to define a method util dot is last message in batch. Okay, so like this, true or false. Okay, so like this we need to define one condition. So this condition is for batching. Okay, when collate is true and when batch is true, this aggregator should aggregate all the combine the all the report records. So these are the mandatory ones. These are the standard ones. Okay, so where we need to define these two expressions? Click on the aggregator, collate when. Okay, when collate when, you should give the props of collate. Force batch one. Here, copy this property. Okay, equal to tr will be true. So when both collate and batch true, then only it can aggregate all the report records. So these are the standard ones that we need to configure whenever we use the aggregator. Okay, now I'm going to make the connection between async mediation 0 to my aggregator, and from aggregator to async mediation 1 store component. Okay, now let's deploy this one again. Before that, I have saved my integration and click on the deploy button. Okay, click on tenant and select this box, next, and finish. Okay, it is successfully deployed. Now go to the integration. Okay, this is my integration. Go to the launch or schedule, click on OK. See, earlier we have the 509 files, now we have the only one file. If you open this file, okay, by using the header root, okay, it is actually using the header root and this footer, all the report records are aggregated in a single file. See, company, worker, employee ID, like this for all the workers. So here it is not visible report data report entry because we actually uh, customize, customize with the header and footer with a root. Okay, so like that actually it is working. So this is all about outbound integration. So how do we configure and what are the components that are required to create one outbound integration? So anybody has any doubt?